Claude Steele's stereotype threat model discusses how members of marginalized communities can get discouraged by the stereotypes of their communities. This discouragement can lead to anxiety, loss of motivation, and will eventually lead to interference in performance. For example, a woman who believes that becoming president one day will be impossible due to her gender can get so discouraged to the point that she doesn't even try at all, even if she is qualified. When I started college, I struggled immensely. Suddenly, I was surrounded by affluent peers when I myself am a first-generation college student from a low-income household. I didn't participate in campus traditions because I assumed that they didn't exist for my enjoyment. I felt like my first year was a huge game of what's wrong with this picture, and surprise, it was me. I felt completely out of place, and I had no idea where to go or what to do. At the beginning of my sophomore year, I was asked to take a position in student government overseeing diversity and inclusion programming. I was terrified and intimidated, but I decided it was time to be brave. I loved the work that I was doing. I became an advocate for inclusion and equity, but there was always a little voice inside of my head that created doubt, wondering if I was there just because I was valued, or was I there because diversity and inclusion were good buzzwords and my face fit the bill. At the time, I was working as a hospitality attendant at the stadium and the suites. Many of my colleagues sat there with their families. And even though during school hours we were equals, in this space, I was making a little over minimum wage amongst my peers who were sitting in seats that were worth thousands. I became self-conscious in leadership positions as a result, constantly wondering, did I fit in at all? At the time, I was still in my niche multicultural organizations, fostering communities with students that were from similar backgrounds. But I no longer felt as comfortable there as I once did. And why was that? I was living two separate lives, and I was desperately scared that they would interact. On one end, I didn't want to be seen as the angry Black woman or the poor first-generation college student. But on the other end, I didn't want my community to think that I lost sight of our struggles because I would no longer spend my time there as much. I was exhausted from being pulled in so many directions, and I'm not the only one. Feeling out of place is not dependent on gender, race, or socioeconomic status. God forbid your weekday persona meet your Saturday life, or your new relationship seeing your old baggage, or your wealthy friends seeing your past riddled with food insecurity. We must realize that your separate lives will never be successful until you realize that they are the same. If not, we're not living our best lives, we're living our best lies. Overcoming stereotypes is hard, but there's much that we can do to combat this. First, be brave. If you are in a position to speak up and use your voice, use it. Speaking through fear today will allow someone else to speak without it tomorrow. Second, acknowledge the differences between us, but know that we are not the stereotypes that are placed upon us. Know that you are exactly where you need to be and that you do not have to conform to any label or stereotype. Third, know that you belong as you befriend, hire, and collaborate with people that are different from yourself. Don't seek diversity to fit a quota. Seek diversity to learn the magic of individual stories. Diversity is for nothing without establishing inclusivity. Having a seat at the table means nothing if you can't say what you feel while you're there. Know that you belong in the spaces that you are in, and if you struggle with overcoming stereotypes, know that we are not what we've been through, but it is our responsibility to make our experiences matter. After all, who cares about fitting the mold when you can create a new one altogether? Thank you.